crafty friends, happy Friday. Welcome to Flosstube. This is Flosstube number 71, I think, and it is February 4th. It's not January 4th like my brain wants me to say. Hello. How has your week been? Mine has been, it's been a normal week, but I have been very tired. I've not been sleeping well this week, so it's low energy, which may not seem like it right at the second, but I feel very low energy this morning. And I also haven't had breakfast yet, so I got a lot of stuff to get done. Trying to get the video done first thing this morning. It's a gray, dreary morning. I don't know if you can tell by the lighting. I've tried to get as much lighting in here as I can. Pardon. And I've barely had any coffee, so I have the nice just waking up congestion. So apologies for that. It is what it is. I'm just looking at the cats, hoping that everybody's going to be a little bit chill this morning. Luna is catching a little bit of bird TV in the window here. Momo and Loki are chilling on the kitty rug over here. So hopefully everybody's chill this morning. We'll see. We will see. It's become a thing, hasn't it? Like capital T thing. Anyway, so what are we talking about this week? Well, I have a finish for now to show you, and I have a new start to show you, and a total of, including those two that I just spoke about, a total of 4 whips that I have worked on this week. So I have lots of stitchy stuff to show you. Before I get too into things, I keep forgetting to mention, so over on Patreon, I'm really working on developing more Patreon only content. It's difficult for me because I have trouble coming up with ideas. But what I decided to do, since I got the Fangirl Fibers Thank You for Being a Friend mini yarn box, I decided that I will do a holovlog style daily vlog opening those for folks over on my Patreon. So if that's something that you're interested in, check it out. That'll be going through at least the 14th of February. Now, if you sign up on Patreon at any level, because I don't have tiers at the moment, if I ever get to a point where I have consistent Patreon only content, then I may consider setting up tiers for that. But at the moment, it's like if you contribute any amount to Patreon, you get access to all the Patreon everything, which includes previous vlogs that I have posted to Patreon only, as well as those daily Thank You for Being a Friend vlogs that I'm doing at least through the 14th of February. I want to get in the habit of doing daily vlogs and combining them into a weekly vlog for my patrons on Patreon. I have to develop the habit. So I want to develop the habit. We'll see if I can manage that. So I want to kind of roll this daily thing in the beginning of February into a weekly thing, but we'll see how that goes. So wanted to remember to update you all on that in case anybody's interested. So that is over on Patreon. The link should be in the description here. And yeah, so that's that. What else is going on? So Twitch this week was fun. I streamed on Wednesday and Thursday, lunch break. Wednesday I talked about my planner, and also discovered a boo-boo. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I talked about my planner, and fortunately, because I was doing my planner and talking about my planner at the same time, I did discover that mistake. I was able to correct it. We'll talk more about that. But thank you all on stream for your support during that very scary moment. Rachel had the appropriately timed sound alert. So that was pretty fun. And yesterday I finally got my Lowry stand set up, so we actually did some stitching on stream. So that was good. Now Luna and Momo are playing. Luna is in the little cat house, the squishy cat house, and she is I don't know what she's doing, but she's got Momo riled up, so that should be fun. On Twitch, one of my goals is to ultimately have a kitty cam. So the cats pretty much hang out in the same spot in the room for the most part, which is directly in front of my stitchy chair on the other side of the room. So the hope is to be able to afford an extra camera so that I can point it in that direction, and y'all can watch the cats sleep or do random weird things like fight each other like they're doing now. So that's my first goal with Twitch. So I'm looking for about 20 subscribers to raise money to do that. So that's a thing too. If you're interested in seeing kitty content, wow, they're having a good old time. Luna is all tucked in the very back of the squishy house, and Momo is attacking her. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, yeah, so that's what's been going on this week. Starting next week, I should be able to stream on Mondays again. I'll make sure my calendar's not too full on Monday. The whole thing is I stream over my lunch break. So, that is always subject to change if my workday gets too busy. And part of the reason that I've selected Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays is because generally speaking, my day is much more predictable. Mondays can be really busy and full of appointments, and they have been the last 2 weeks, which is why I haven't streamed on Mondays. But Wednesday and Thursday are relatively stable. Tuesdays are just completely out because Tuesdays are report days for me. And report days, sometimes I get the reports done very early because the pieces that I need are given to me in a prompt and timely fashion, and I'm able to get all of that stuff and get it approved and send it where it needs to go early. Sometimes I am running right down to the wire on my deadline because I'm waiting on pieces from other people. So Tuesdays are very unpredictable. So I don't stream on Tuesdays, at least not during the day. But yeah, so that's the whole lunchtime thing, and it's been so fun. It's so fun because it's basically like a crafty lunch break, right? A bunch of us just hang out and we chat as if we were all sitting in a lunchroom together on our lunch breaks, and it is awesome and it's fantastic, and I love you all who've been able to make it. I am hoping to do more streaming in the evenings, and now that I have the Lowry stand and can actually stitch in a more comfortable way and be able to keep up with the chat, I think that doing crafty streams in the evenings and the weekends is going to be easier. So look out for that. And we're back. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's what's going on. So if you haven't followed me on Twitch yet and you want to keep up with what's going on Twitch, that link is down in the box as well. So, let's get into the crafty stuff, shall we? I feel like there's stuff that I'm missing. But, oh, it's February. That's an important one. It is officially February. Folks are stitching a lot of birds, and they're tagging me on Facebook. They're tagging me on Instagram, and it is fantastic. As much as possible, I'm sharing those stories I'm sharing those posts to my stories, so that everybody can see all the February. There have been some fantastic finishes already, which is really, really exciting. Michelle over at Bendy Stitchy, she is stitching Mini Cletus, and I think she's planning on doing that the entire month, which is going to be really, really exciting. And I did a new start for February. So that's the stitching that I've done for February so far. I'm just kind of stitching what I feel like stitching. So I don't know when the other new starts are coming, but I was reminded, and I'm really kind of frustrated, annoyed at myself that I forgot about this. But one of the most fantastic charts for February, in addition to Chubby Bird, which everybody's doing Chubby Bird, and it's fantastic. The other one is Secan Bird by Anna Aguayo. So I have that chart, and part of the reason that I didn't think to pull it out and show it to you is because I have it digitally. So I always forget to search through my digital charts too. But I have it digitally, and it is a fantastic chart. I know a couple of folks have already started it or are working on it for February. So if you haven't checked out Anna Aguayo, make sure you check her out. She's got some awesome charts that are Peruvian. She's Peruvian Flair, I believe, on Etsy. I'll put the link down below. She's Peruvian Flair, and so her pieces are very cultural, related to her heritage and her culture, which I think is super awesome. And the Secan bird is a two-headed bird, which is just really cool. So you should check her out if you have not checked her out. Also, the Laurel Witch has a free chart in February. I shouldn't say a free chart. She has a gift chart in February. It is for Imbolc, which is a Celtic / pagan celebration of, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's like the welcoming of this. It's not, because it's the halfway point between winter solstice and spring equinox, if I remember correctly. So it's sort of the turning point of the year, or the new year, or something like that. I could be completely wrong, and I apologize if I'm wrong. Imbolc is an important it's an important Sabbath for Celtic and pagan folks, and various other folks as well. But she has an Imbolc chart, and it has the cutest little blue jay on it. It is so fantastic. It's available for free right now on her blog, and I will try to remember. Okay, that's a lot of links that I'm telling you to look for. I have linked it, or I did link it in my stories on Instagram as well. So if I don't remember to put it here, it'll be on Instagram. But it is a super cute little chart. It's the cutest little blue jay ever. So the Laurel Witch also has a fantastic chart. So you know, if you want to support an artist, or actually, if you want to support any artist, you can go to either of them. But if you especially want to support an artist by purchasing their stuff, then make sure you check out Anna Aguayo, and her Secan bird. And I believe she had another bird chart as well last February. It's like Love Birds or something like that. I can't remember what it is. I'm pretty sure I have multiple bird charts from Anna Aguayo, so check her out. So yeah, shall we look at the stitching? If I cannot go into another coughing fit. I apologize for all the clearing my throat. I'm really congested this morning. So let's scoot back to Sunday of last week. This technically counts for February because there's a bird right here. Look at that bird. Look at that bird. So this is Walk Fast. And you've seen this a few times now. I'm trying to hold it somewhere where you can actually see it. Pardon. Okay, so this is Walk Fast by Lindy's Stitches, and I got a ton of stitching done on this. So I have, you can lead a herring to water. I have that whole thing. I have the little boat. I have the herring. This is stitching up so fast, so fast. I really have had trouble putting this down, and I will provide. I put 332 stitches, 352 stitches. Focus, please. Focus. There we go. Okay. 352 stitches on this on Sunday. Like, really? 352 stitches. That's a lot for me in one sitting. I have not obtained any more autumn foliage. I have not been successful in finding any more of this thread, but I did get a few skeins of the called for classic colorworks, and I've compared that to the autumn foliage. Now, I do prefer autumn foliage because it's got a wider range of variegation in it. So the brown end of it is it goes to a more saturated brown than the called for floss, but they are very similar. So the lighter ends, the medium ends are pretty much the same colors. It has the same, what am I trying to say? It's essentially the same color, but autumn foliage has a wider range of saturation. So it goes from a lighter to a darker sort of yellow greenish brown than the called for. So I think what I may do, I've got 8 yards of this, so I'll probably finish the top border in autumn foliage and then bring in the other color down the sides, and certainly in other things. I think what I'm going to do is start with pardon, hiccups now, goodness gracious. I'm going to start with the classic colorworks called for color on this side, just to see how that flows together, and then go from there. I'm going to make sure that I like it together. I could certainly use the called for in the internal motifs and stuff like that. It's mostly on the frame that it's going to look different. The one thing I don't want to do is pick all of this out. I want to keep this. So if that means that what I do is I do a couple of lengths of the called for, which I can't remember what it's called. If I do a couple lengths of the called for, and then a couple lengths of the autumn foliage, and then, you know, called for autumn foliage, if I do that so that it looks, so that it's intentional essentially, then I can probably stretch that 8 yards out to make it work. So we'll see. We shall see. I am having a hard time putting this away though. And it does have a bird on it, so I can still stitch it for February. Part of me wonders if I should just go for a finish on this, if I should just keep working on it. We'll see. We'll see. It's such a fun stitch. It's such a fun stitch. But yeah, so I did that on Sunday. On Monday, it was dark 13 stitching. Hashtag dark 13 stitching. So the walk fast is also hashtag Betty White Sal, because it's in honor and tribute to Betty White. I've really enjoyed working on that and thinking about Rose and thinking about all the Golden Girls. Monday was dark 13 because it was the 31st. So I worked on my little creepy cryptid, my moth person. I know it says Mothman, because person wouldn't have fit there anyway, but I didn't even think to rechart it. But I prefer to call mine a moth person. I don't know why, it just makes me happy. I like it, a moth person. Moth person. Anyway, so I didn't actually get the finish on the 31st, but I was so close to the finish on February 1st, on Tuesday. I was so close to the finish that I decided to go ahead and finish it on Tuesday. So I don't know if that's considered cheating, but I wanted to finish it. I couldn't see holding off on less than 200 stitches just to save it for the next 13th. So I went ahead and finished my moth person, and he's so cute. He's so cute. I just love it. There's a motif down here that was actually charted, but it's really kind of a spacer to make everything fit together nicely and aesthetically in the large chart. So I did not stitch it because this is going to be its own little page. I'm going to make a book out of all these, and there's going to be there are 16 boxes in the original chart, but I think there might actually be more like 20 different cryptids, because she offered a couple of alternatives for the last box, and she also gave us a chart for a small cone of doom, which I think is so cute. So so yeah, there's a bunch of these still to stitch. I will start on the next one when I can't remember what it is. It might be the Infield Horror. It might be the second one. So that one I will start on February 13th. But this little moth person is done. It's so cute. Look how cute it is. I'm surprised that it's as big as it is, because this is 40 count, but I'm stitching 1 over 2. So I'm stitching over 2 threads. So so I guess it's still, I guess that's why it looks as big as it does. But yeah, it's so cute. So I can't get over how cute it is. It just really is super cute. I just love how it's, as much as I don't enjoy stitching with one thread, with one cotton thread, I really do love how this looks. And that's even considering the coverage is not as solid as I generally prefer, but I think it really works with the whole feel. Of course, it looks way more solid on camera than when I look at it in person. But it really does fit, I think, with the feel of the whole thing, right? So it's meant to be a little primitive, I guess I don't know if primitive is the right word, but I think it works with the whole theme and scheme of the thing. So I'm very happy with my little finish for now, moth person. And like I said, on the 13th, I'll move on to the next one. So that was Monday and Tuesday. I had to, like, my brain would not let me start a new February project until I finished my moth person. So I had to finish the moth person, and then I was allowed a new start. So so here's my new start. I apologize for all the noises. I don't have time to go back and edit it all out. I really apologize. I will try not to be so congested next time. So this is my new start. This is Schnabelperchten that I showed you last week. And I'm very proud of myself for being able to pronounce that. Heike said that my pronunciation was very good, and I appreciated that so much. It made me so happy. My 6 or 7 years of German in school did not completely fail me. So this is Schnabelperchten. So let me tell you, there's a story. There's a story here. So I originally started it like this. So originally, I was stitching from the top left corner, and this whole section here was not here. It was stitched. It was a smaller section stitched in the opposite direction because I was stitching from the top left. And I realized on stream with like 20 people watching, I realized that I had not accounted for the fact that this particular chart, it's like 179 stitches wide by 150 something tall. And I had not accounted for that when I started stitching. So when the fabric is oriented this way, the horizontal, this is the 17-inch side, and this is the 27-inch side going this way, right? But the way I had started stitching it, the stitch area was 13 inches across and 11 inches high, and I was already like 3.5 inches in starting. So 3.5 plus 13 is 16.5, right? 16.5, which means that assuming I was only 3.5 inches in from the outside, I might have half an inch left after I finish this. Oh wow, that was a fun time. Me stopping in the middle of the stream going, oh my gosh, what did I just do? So moment of panic when I realized what I had done, because I was just going to leave it and continue stitching, but half an inch is not okay, and that's really assuming that I'm not being too stingy with the idea that this is 3.5, because I know that the 3-inch mark is actually up here, so that's about half an inch. But yeah, half an inch, I was not comfortable with the half-inch clearance, especially because if this fabric is undersized at all, then that means that I have even less than half an inch. So I was like, you know what? So I had to come up with a plan, and I managed to come up with a plan fairly easily, considering I decided to just turn the piece, right? Just turn it. So some of you may be noting that there are still a couple of issues with this. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. So, so turning it this way, now this is the vertical is now my short side. So this is the 17-inch side. So 11 inches plus 6 for 3 inches on, because I do generous margins. You don't have to do 3 inches on each side. I do generous margins because I don't know when I start a piece exactly how I'm going to finish it. So I give myself lots of extra fabric. So anyway, so 11 plus 6 for the margins is 17. Yes, it's 17 inches. So this will be exactly right for that. It does mean that I'll probably have like half an inch less on this side than I have on this side, but it does fit that way. And now we have the 13 plus 6 on this side is 19 inches, so I will certainly have enough fabric with a little bit left over for a small, which will be nice. Where was I going with that? Because I started doing math and then I got nervous that I was just discovering another mistake. But no, 17 inches is fine. It's fine, because this will be relatively centered on the fabric and I will have more than 2 inches on either side, so it'll be fine. It's fine. It's fine. About to have a panic attack. Okay, so you may have noticed that there are issues with turning it this way. The main issue being that because most of this I left. I had most of this already stitched, so I left that in. And the main issue with that is that when you start stitching this way and then you turn the fabric this way, the stitches are now going in a different direction than you would normally stitch, than I would normally stitch. So when I stitch this way, my top leg goes from bottom right to top left. If I turn it this way, that top leg now goes from bottom left to top right, which is backwards for me. So I had two options. So the center part that I had stitched, I did have to pick out. I had to frog that because that was the wrong part of the pattern, because now we're stitching from the bottom left instead of the top left. So I did have to frog that. That was non-negotiable. But I was like, you know what? I could frog all of these stitches. It was another 200 stitches in the borders there. It's like I could frog it, or I could just leave it. I could just leave it, and it'll just live there, and it'll be fine. And so I decided to let it live there. It's part of the character of the piece now. I don't know if it's within the spirit of Schnabelpercht, since their whole deal is that you're supposed to be clean, you're supposed to have everything tidy and neat by January 5th, or they come and cut your guts out. but but you know what? It works for me. I love the fact that this it gives a little bit of character. I love that there's a story that goes along with this piece. In addition to the story of the design, there's a story that goes along with the piece. Also, you may notice there's a couple of little random stitches there. Those were initially, so when I was stitching this way, these were going to be borders across the top here. So there's a big chunky section of design, and then there's a couple of borders that go in between, and then you have the big section that's got the Schnabelperchten in it, and then you have more border and stuff like that. So that was the start. That was the indicator to me that I'm going to go across right there. In order to remove those stitches, I would have had to frog most of that line. And I decided that that wasn't worth it to me. So in addition to the fact that we have the little Easter egg that some of these stitches are in a different direction than the other stitches, we also have a little birthmark. So that's my Schnabelperchten birthmark. Just a little reminder that I need to be a little bit more careful when I'm starting a new project, and remembering which is the width and which is the height when I am setting things up and getting them started. So yeah, so it's fine. It's fine. I'm totally cool with it. I know it doesn't sound like it the way I'm saying it, but I am fine with it though. I am amused. I am highly amused. I will say this is a very different chart that I have worked on before. So even compared to a long dog sampler, which has a lot of I've used variegated floss with those as well. This one is very different from the perspective that these big chunks and stuff are actually, the design is created in the negative space that's left from not stitching. So it makes it a whole different kind of challenge to use variegated floss on this kind of design, because I'm really trying to figure out how to stitch so that the variegation isn't just lines, because I don't just want vertical or horizontal lines. I want it to look kind of smooth and flowing. So what I've decided to do, and this is a huge chunky border. This is really massive. It's going to be like halfway up here or something like that. This is a really chunky border. What I have decided to do to try to get a little bit more of a flow of variegation instead of just line, I'm only stitching like 8 stitches up, and I'm going to do that in 4 sections. Fortunately, this particular thread, it's got a very steady variegation, so it's very easy to meet the to start this next thread with the same color and have it sort of go through the same flow and meet up. So I'm hoping that that's going to work across. So I'll do another section of about 8 stitches on top of this and stitch it across, and hope that the colors kind of meet up in a flowy way, and then I'll do another section of 8, another section of 8, and that should finish it off. So I'm hoping that that strategy is going to get me a nice look all the way across. So we'll see. We'll see. I realized after the fact that I might have actually been able to just do one individual X at a time all the way across with one thread, and then do the next row. If I'd done it one row at a time, it might have worked out really nicely too. And I may try that on the top border when I get there, but we'll see. We'll see. So far, I'll get it closer so you can actually see it. So far, I'm liking the variegation. I like it better than what I was getting, or I'm liking the pattern that it's making, and I'm liking it better than what I had gotten when I was stitching the top border originally, because I was trying to do it on a diagonal, and that really didn't, it wasn't coming out in a way that made me happy. So this, I'm liking this much better. So I'm very excited to get back to this. I have stitched almost 600 stitches in this. Now I did have to frog about 100 of that, so the actual stitches that you can see are about 500, but I've stitched 600 on this. So that was a lot. And I put almost 500 stitches into Creepy Cryptids. So I've done a lot of stitching this week. I'm kind of surprised at myself that I'm getting so much stitching in. I'm realizing that it's probably at the expense of my knitting, because I haven't touched my knitting in a couple weeks now. but I haven't felt in a knitting mood. Like for me, a knitting mood is either like I'm super focused on this pattern and I just really want to get like I just really want to work on this pattern, or I'm knitting because I'm tired or low energy, low mental energy, low physical energy, and I still want to do something with my hands and I can sit in the chair and watch TV and knit and it still feels like I'm getting to be productive. But I've been very stitchy lately, which to me speaks of good mental health because when I'm stitching, it means that I have mental energy and physical energy, and like I'm doing things, like I can get things done, and the stitching makes me feel very accomplished. So which is the only reason I'm focusing on stitch counts, because it makes me feel good to realize how much work I put into all these things. So let's see. So I worked on that Tuesday and Wednesday. And then yesterday, like I said, I finally got my Lowry stand. I think I may have said that in the vlog. I don't remember. Anyway, I finally put my Lowry stand together. I've had it for a couple of weeks, and I did that thing. That I try not to do. See, when I get packages now, I try to either put them in a very conspicuous place or go ahead and open them and empty them immediately. Because if I put them out of the way, I tend to either forget about them or get less excited about them, and they kind of languish. And so I've had a number of things that I've ordered and was very excited about, and then when I got here, I just sort of put them out of the way, and then I forgot about them for a while. So that sort of happened with the Lowry stand, which makes me feel like way overly privileged that I can buy a Lowry stand and then just forget about it. But anyway. So I finally opened the Lowry stand and put it together. In my brain, it was like this big horrible task because, oh my gosh, I have to put it together. It's like 3 pieces. It's 3 pieces. They're not overly heavy. It was actually very, very easy. Go brain. Anyway, so I put the Lowry stand together yesterday. I used it for the first time to stitch on stream, which was awesome because I can actually set it up in a way where I can still see the chat and you can see what I'm working on, and the cat can't get in the middle of it because it's not on the table. So I decided to pull out Gamer Nouveau. This is one of 2 full coverage pieces that I have on the go. This is a piece of artwork by Medusa Dollmaker. I don't think I'm gonna have to. I might have time to drop the picture somewhere over here. We'll see. But Medusa Dollmaker is one of my favorite artists. She works in an Art Nouveau style, which is one of my favorite styles. This bag, incidentally, is also Medusa Dollmaker. There is a cross stitch chart, I believe, of this mermaid as well, that I might have to get someday. We'll see. But yeah, so this was my unicorn chart for a long, long time, and I bought the kit from Gecko Rouge, who is fully licensed. They have a fully licensed, or they are fully licensed to sell this as a cross stitch kit. And I bought it right at the beginning of the Panini. So this was like April 2020 or something like that. And I was so excited because I've loved this piece of artwork for so long, and when I found out you could get it as a cross stitch chart, I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, and I started this a year ago, January. I'm embarrassed that I have not worked on it since January 2021. It was a new start for January 2021, and then I didn't touch it again. But I rectified that yesterday. And another way that I'm going to work on rectifying that is by using this as my my main focus piece for the Bike Around Germany challenge for Full Coverage Fanatics on Facebook. So the idea with the Full Coverage Fanatics Bike Around Germany is that you complete a certain number of hours of stitching that's equivalent to the travel time it would take you to bike from one city to the next city, or you do a converted amount of stitches that is relatively equal to that amount of time, based on 120 stitches per hour. So I'm doing the stitch count because I use Pattern Keeper, and stitch count is easy for me and makes me feel better than counting my time. So I started this on stream yesterday. I got 55 stitches in, and technically more than 55 because I had a couple of rows where I had done 10 stitches, so I needed to just go back and do the X's. But in Pattern Keeper, I'd already counted them as fully stitched. So I like past Jessie cheated current Jessie out of out of some stitches. But 55 official full crosses on stream, which any of you who've joined me for a Twitch stream where I've tried to cross stitch, you know that that's a record. That's a record for me. So I got 55 stitches in on stream. I got about 140 stitches, just under 140 stitches off stream, because past Jessie also was not super kind to future Jessie, in the respect that past Jessie just kind of like had some random threads all hanging out here, and I wasn't exactly sure what colors they were, or like I didn't mark it in Pattern Keeper that I had parked a thread there. So yeah, so that was a bit confusing. So part of the reason that I did so much stitching after the stream was because I wanted to finish out the stars that I had started, finish out the threads that I had started, so that I have a clean work surface from now on. A large portion of this, and I lied a little bit on stream, so a large portion of this first page is just this background color. I did, when I looked at the chart, the frame that's in, you can't really see it on this, this is a needle minder that goes, it's the same piece of artwork. There's a frame, because it's Art Nouveau, there's a frame that happens behind her, and the top of that frame actually starts towards the bottom of this first page. But there's, I don't know, probably 10,000 stitches that are just that color. There's a lot. It's a lot. So, but I'll probably be stitching this on stream quite a bit going forward, at least until I get that background done, because that's a lot of just mindless stitching, which is something that's pretty convenient for chatting while I'm doing that. So, yeah. What else was I gonna say? I was gonna say stuff and I forgot. But I'm very excited that that with the Lowry stand, I can actually finally set this up in such a way that it's more comfortable for me to stitch on, and I can have the camera on it, and I can have the cats off of it, and be able to see the chat all at the same time. It's very, very exciting. I don't know if that makes sense to other people, but it's very exciting to me. So yeah, so 193 stitches all told in there. Let me see if I can. Lighting is not good. There, sort of, kind of. Yeah, you can kind of see that there's some stars. There's a couple of stars hiding in there. They're very faint in the background. So this is about 1,200 stitches out of, I don't know, 200,000. Yeah. So, oh, that's what I was gonna say. So the Bike Around Germany challenge. So 193 stitches gets me a little bit past Wilhelmshaven. So as far as the challenge goes, we start at Zettel. I think I was saying that correctly. Heike, fix me if I'm, or let me know if I'm not saying it correctly. So we started at Zettel, and we go to Wilhelmshaven. So I'm just past Wilhelmshaven. I'm about 40 stitches, no, I'm about 70 stitches towards towards Bremen. So Bremen is the next stop, which is, if I'm not misremembering my folklore, Bremen is where the fairy tale The Musicians of Bremen, you know, that's where that comes in. So I'm gonna have to do some looking up. The whole part of the point of this is that each of these stops has historical, or has either like a historical story behind it, like there's historical significance to that location, and or beautiful scenic views in that area. So I'm gonna look those up and see where I've just stopped with my virtual bike, and and then go on. But yeah, so I'm about 70 stitches towards Bremen, which needs a total of 580 stitches to reach it. Now if I complete the entire challenge this year, that will be 34,000 stitches and change. It'll be 54 legs, 34,000 stitches. I think it's like 34,200 and something stitches, which will be a nice big chunk. I think, I'm trying to remember just exactly how many stitches. So at the 1,200 or so, 1,300 stitches that I have currently, that's about 0.6% completion. 0.6%. So multiply that by 30. It's 36%. Maybe. It's not 360. I can't math. Math is bad. Okay, I don't even know why I'm trying. So anyway, 34,000 stitches will get a lot of progress on this piece. So that's the point, is to get a lot of progress. If I get bored with this piece, I do have Long Have I Waited, Long I Have Waited, Long I Have Waited by Christy Grandjean. I can switch over to that. I have all the flosses. So I bought this as a kit, so I have all the flosses for it already laid out. I have all the DMC for Long I Have Waited, so I can swap out between cities. So like right now, if I were tired of working on Gamer, I could go ahead and swap out. I wouldn't be able to count those extra 70 something stitches, technically, I think. It's all, you know, there's no full coverage police coming to get you, I don't think. But regardless, for me and my conscience, I would not count the extra 70 stitches. I would just say I did 193 on this one, and now I'm moving on to the next city and switch to a different piece. And then I would have to do the full 580 on the next piece to get to the next city, and then if I wanted to switch again, so on and so forth. So but I'm going to stick with Gamer until or unless I get tired of her, and we'll go from there. So the whole purpose of joining the Full Coverage Fanatics Stitch Around Germany challenge was just to get myself motivated to do some more work on these full coverage pieces, because these are massive, and they're going to take a long time. And if I only put in 1,000 stitches a year, it's going to take me approximately 700 years. So I ain't got that kind of time. I don't know anybody that's got that kind of time. So we're trying to get more work on these. And you know, I'm realizing now that I'm paying attention to how many stitches I'm getting every week, how many stitches I'm getting on a piece and that sort of thing, that I have a lot more capacity for stitching than I realized that I had. So this week in particular, I added up the stitches that I've already done, and that's just from Sunday to this morning. I've already stitched 600 and change, 1,600 and change. So 1,600 and something stitches for this week, not including the weekend that's about to happen. So this evening I'll be stitching more. Tomorrow I'm absolutely certain I'll be stitching more. So so for me, that's a pretty big deal. When I started WIPGO last year, I wasn't sure that I could accomplish 500 stitches on 2 separate pieces in a single month. Like, I felt like that was a huge challenge. And I blew that challenge out of the water. So most of my goals are either to finish a piece or to stitch at least 1,000 stitches in the space of a month. And now I'm realizing that that's something that when I'm in a good mental health place, that's something that I can do in a week. Which is pretty fantastic. Now, what I'm preventing myself from doing, boundaries, what I'm preventing myself from doing is starting to rejigger all of my, that may not be a good word, starting to evaluate my goals to fit this new capacity that I've discovered. Because what I don't want to do is realize, oh, I can do so much more, and then start like booking all of that stitchy time so that then I'm obligated for 4,000 stitches a month. Because if I start just assuming that that's always going to be the case, I'm going to get into some stressful and frustrating periods. You know, and I talked about this with my counselor a week or two ago. You know, it's the same thing with Twitch. Like, I'm very excited about Twitch. I'm having a really great time with Twitch, but I'm setting up boundaries now, because I know that when I get hyper focused on something, when I get super excited about something, I go all in to the point that I burn myself out, like, completely. And I'll be on, like, if I let myself, I would be on Twitch every night and every day because it's fun. It's fun chatting with you all. You're just awesome people, and the chats are so fun, and I love sitting in on Rachel's streams and on Michelle's streams and having you all come to my streams. It's just fun. It's a fun community. It's fun to chat with you all, and if I let myself, I would be on every single day, and the problem is that's not sustainable. You know, it's great for a short period of time, but it's not sustainable. And you know, I want to be able to continue doing Twitch for a long time because it's fun. It's fun. So I want it to continue to be fun. And it's the same thing with stitching. Like, I'm going to keep my goals where they are right now, because my goals are based on what my baseline has been for a long time. Now, my baseline may improve over the course of this year. I mean, the ADHD meds that I'm taking are working really well for me. I'm having, in general, at least over the last month or so, I'm having a lot more like good energy days. I'm having, like, I can count on one hand the number of days last month that I just could not anything, that I just couldn't. But no bones days, as we say. So I can count on one hand the number of no bones days I had last month, which is unheard of for me, because most of the time I can count on one hand how many bones days I have, how many days I have the capacity to do all of my work stuff in addition to all of my other stuff outside of work, and feel like I'm accomplished and not worn out and just completely burnt out. So that was a very new and different thing. But what I don't want to do is now rework all of my goals and all of my self expectations to fit that new level of energy, because hopefully that level of energy will stay, but I don't know yet. I don't know yet. It's going to take a couple of months before I know, feel relatively certain that the baseline is now up here instead of down here. So what I do know is that my original baseline, I'm using the camera, I'm using the screen. So my original baseline is like, I can't get my hands together, is like here. That was my original baseline before I started getting therapy and counseling and seeking out a diagnosis and all that stuff. That was my original baseline several years ago. When I didn't understand any of these things about myself, was like way down here. So after I started getting help with my mental health and started understanding better what's going on with my brain and all this sort of stuff, then it kind of raised up a little bit. And this has been my baseline, which has been significantly better than this. But I've still had issues. I've still struggled. A lot of no bones days, at least half of the month of no bones days, if not more. And the last month, in a couple of weeks, my baseline's been like up here, which is awesome. But I want to make sure that that's really a new baseline and not just a temporary increase, if that makes any sense. I don't know if it does, but but that's where I am. So and I talked about it with, like I said, I talked about it with my counselor, and I let her know that I was I started out calling them limitations, and I was like, no, it's not limitations. I'm not trying to limit myself. I'm giving myself boundaries. And she thought that was a really good way of looking at it. I'm giving myself boundaries, because what I don't want to do is jump in and get burnt out. And then, because if you let yourself get to that burnt out stage, you lose so much more time than if you just try to level yourself out and provide some boundaries in the beginning, because you can sustain a lot more it's just like a marathon, right? So if you relate it to something physical, if you're doing a marathon, you don't start out that marathon by running full tilt for the first couple of miles, because if you do that, you're gonna use up all of your energy. You're not gonna have enough energy to finish out that race. And if you can finish out the race, then what happens is you're so much slower. So you got a lot of like headway in the beginning, but now you're so slow that you lose all of that. You lose your lead. You lose all of it. Whereas if you start out at a steady pace, at a maintainable pace, providing yourself some boundaries and knowing that, you might need a quick burst of speed here or there, but for the most part, you're going to start out at a steady pace. Then when you need those bursts of speed, when you need that burst of energy, you can give it to yourself, because you still have the reserves. You still have the ability to do it. And it's the same with pretty much anything else. If you go full tilt into it right at the beginning, then you're going to burn yourself out. And once you get burnt out, it's hard to recover. It's really, really hard to recover from burnout. And burnout for at least for me, I can't say that this is true of everyone who has ADHD, but burnout for me feels very similar to depression. And it's surprising how similar. I think the biggest difference that I have noticed is that, when folks when they're trying to evaluate you to see if you're depressed, one of the biggest questions is, do you feel hopeless? Do you have a sense of hopelessness, worthlessness, and things like that? And so burnout mimics a lot of the feelings that you have with depression. But the biggest thing for me is that I don't feel that, like, the hopelessness and the worthlessness are not necessarily there. It's more just this, like, I cannot, like, this just pervasive feeling of exhaustion and just not being able to do anything. And I don't necessarily feel like I'm hopeless. I just don't feel capable of anything. So burnout is really difficult. It's really difficult to recover from. So the best thing to do is to avoid getting burnout in the first place. So anyway, that's my mental health tidbit for you today. I totally didn't mean to go there, but pardon. But if it helps somebody out there, if it, even if, this is the reason that I talk about these things. One, because I just tend to talk about whatever's on my brain at the moment. I'm that kind of person where I'm pretty happy to share pretty much anything. And so that's part of it. But the other part of it is, if I can make one person who's watching this feel less alone, feel less isolated, feel more normal, then that is so worth it to me, because I've spent a lot of my life feeling like the issues that I experience, the issues that I have, the things that I experience, the things that I've gone through, I spent a lot of my life internalizing it and feeling like these were character flaws, that these were part of me, and and they were things that made me less than a good human, like that they were things that I was doing that inherently were wrong with me as an individual. And so learning that these things are not me, these things are separate from me, these are things I experience because my brain is different and I'm trying to function in a neurotypical world. Understanding that there's nothing wrong with me, I'm just different than the typical. Um, and so I have to work around things in a different way. Understanding that I'm not lazy and I'm not incapable. I just have issues with executive dysfunction, and I have issues, getting started with things. Understanding that these are all things that are separate from me and are results of the way my brain works and the way I'm asked to function in the world. It was mind blowing, and it was life changing, literally life changing for me. So, if there's anybody out there who's listening to this and these things resonate with you and that makes you feel better, it makes you feel less alone, it makes you feel less like there's something wrong with you, then that's why I talk about this stuff. Because I want you all to feel better. I want you all to, I don't want anybody out there feeling like they're crap just because their brain's different. Because you're not. You're fantastic. And you are perfectly fantastic and perfectly imperfect. And everything about you is amazing. And it doesn't matter that your brain is different. It's totally fine. You just have to, unfortunately, you have to figure out how to be you without apology in a world that doesn't know how to let you be you. So the working environment that I have right now has been incredibly good for me, because I am able to work the way my brain works instead of working how the neurotypical world would like me to work. So it's gonna be an experience when I have to go back to the office and I have to be around people and I have to mask and I have to try to seem normal to people who don't understand that I am normal. I'm just different. So anyway, okay. I think that's all I had. I'm looking at this planner, y'all. I have never stuck with a planner this long. I really have not. This planner is just fantastic. I'm recording when I'm working on stuff and what I'm working on, and I will be recording plans and things like that going forward, and some scheduling stuff, and things like that. But it's been so awesome because it just has everything all in one place. I can't recommend it enough. So it's the Meticulous Get Stitch Done planner. She has a digital version. If she doesn't have any physical copies left, you can still get a digital version. It's still totally worth it, in my opinion. That's another link I will try to remember to put down in the box for you. But anyway, so I'm looking at my planner, and I think that's everything. So I had a goal of working on Creepy Cryptids on the 31st, which I did that and I finished that. And I had a goal of starting Schnabelperchten for February, so I did that. So I met my goals this week, did a bunch of stitching this week, provided some mental health information for you. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's all I got for you. I hope you're having the best day and week and month that is available to you. And remember what I always say. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember to take all of your meds, and remember that you are enough. And in addition to that, you are fantastic, and I love you, and I will see you all. I will see you all again next time. Have a good one.